Last night changed the entire conversation around this show, and the most surprising part is that the person still controlling the attention is someone who is no longer even standing in the middle of the cast. That alone says everything people need to know. Because when someone leaves a platform and the audience still cannot stop talking about them, that is not just popularity. That is influence. And what unfolded during these conversations made it very clear that Melody Shari is still connected to almost every major discussion happening around this franchise right now. Every opinion somehow circles back to her. Every argument leads back to her. Every comparison brings her name back into the room. And honestly, that has to be frustrating for certain people, because there were clearly expectations that once Melody stepped away, someone else would automatically take over the spotlight. But what people are now realizing is that attention cannot be handed over like a trophy. It does not work like that in reality television. The audience chooses who they connect with. The audience decides who feels important. And based on everything happening right now, many viewers still feel like Melody is the heartbeat of the entire story, even from a distance. What made this whole situation even more interesting was the timing of everything. While conversations were happening publicly during the recap, another live was unfolding almost at the exact same time, and the overlap between those two moments did not feel accidental at all. It felt reactive. It felt emotional. It felt like certain people were trying to regain control of a narrative that has slowly been slipping away from them for a long time. And the audience noticed it immediately. Social media noticed it immediately. Because viewers today pay attention to patterns more than ever before. They notice when someone suddenly goes live after criticism starts spreading. They notice when stories begin changing. They notice when people try to rewrite history in real time. And that is exactly why this moment became so much bigger than just another online discussion. One of the biggest topics people could not stop talking about was the growing belief that Tisha truly expected to become the central figure once Melody left. And honestly, that theory did not come out of nowhere. For years, there has been this quiet assumption that once the strongest personality exits a reality show, the next person standing closest automatically rises into that position. But viewers are now realizing that being close to the spotlight is not the same thing as being the spotlight. Those are two completely different things. A central figure has to carry scenes naturally. A central figure has to make people emotionally react without forcing it. A central figure has to create conversations that continue long after the episode ends. And many people are now questioning whether Tisha was ever truly able to do that on her own. That does not mean people hate her. That does not even mean she is not important to the show. But there is a difference between being part of a strong cast and being the person who drives the energy of the entire platform. And that difference is becoming impossible to ignore now, because when Melody left, there was a huge opportunity for someone else to fully take over. The lane was open, the attention was available. The structure was shifting. But instead of one clear person stepping into that role, the audience started focusing on completely different dynamics. And that is where the conversation about Destiny started getting louder. A lot of viewers did not expect Destiny to become such a major talking point. In fact, many people originally thought she would remain somewhere in the background, while the larger personalities continued dominating the storyline. But something changed. Destiny started bringing real situations to the screen. Real emotion, real tension, real conflict. Whether people agree with her choices or not is honestly beside the point. Reality television survives on storylines, and Destiny showed up with one. That matters more than anything. Producers need material to build around. They need emotional moments. They need conflict that feels authentic enough to keep viewers talking. And right now, many people feel like Destiny understands that better than some of the others. What makes this shift even more uncomfortable for certain cast members is the fact that it was not supposed to happen this way. There were probably expectations behind the scenes about who would rise after Melody stepped away. There were probably assumptions about who viewers would naturally follow. But audiences are unpredictable. They decide things emotionally, not strategically. And once the audience begins emotionally disconnecting from someone, it becomes very difficult to rebuild that relationship. That is why authenticity matters so much in reality television. People can forgive mistakes. They can forgive arguments. They can even forgive messy behavior. But what viewers struggle to forgive is inconsistency. And that has become one of the biggest problems people keep bringing up during these discussions. The audience feels like certain cast members want privacy only when the attention turns toward their own issues. But at the same time, they are comfortable discussing everyone else's problems when it benefits them. That imbalance is what frustrates viewers. Because if you are willing to sit at the table during another person's difficult moments, then people expect you to show the same openness when your own life becomes part of the conversation. That is the unspoken agreement reality stars make with the audience. You cannot ask for transparency from everyone else while protecting your own storyline behind closed doors. This is also why viewers have started re-examining older conflicts in a completely different way. Situations that were once dismissed are suddenly being looked at again with fresh eyes. Comments that people ignored before are now being replayed online. Moments that once seemed small are starting to feel much more important. And this is where Melody's supporters feel a sense of vindication. Because for a very long time, they believed she was trying to warn people about certain dynamics happening behind the scenes. Back then, many viewers accused her of exaggerating. Some people thought she was simply bitter. Others believed she was creating drama to stay relevant. But now, as more cracks continue showing publicly, people are beginning to wonder if she was telling more truth than anyone wanted to admit. And that changes the entire energy of the conversation. Because once the audience starts feeling like someone was unfairly dismissed, sympathy naturally grows. People begin revisiting old clips. They start comparing timelines. They analyze old interviews differently. And suddenly, the narrative shifts without that person even having to defend themselves anymore. That is exactly what seems to be happening now. Melody does not even have to say much because the behavior of others is doing the work for her. The live involving Tisha's mother added another layer to all of this because viewers immediately started questioning the sudden changes in tone. One minute there were deep connections being presented publicly, shared family moments, vacations, close interactions, years of visible friendship. Then, suddenly, the narrative becomes, we were never really that close. But the internet remembers everything. Viewers remember everything. And once people feel like someone is trying to erase history that was already documented publicly, trust starts breaking down very quickly. That is why so many reactions online focused on credibility. Not because friendships cannot end. Friendships end all the time. Relationships change. People grow apart. That part is normal. What people struggle with is when the current explanation completely clashes with years of visible behavior. It creates confusion, and confusion usually leads to skepticism. The audience begins wondering what else may not have been completely honest. Once that door opens, every statement starts getting questioned. At the center of all this is the issue of accountability, and honestly, that may be the biggest reason viewers are becoming exhausted with certain personalities on the show. People do not expect perfection from reality stars. If anything, messy behavior often increases ratings. But audiences do expect honesty. They expect people to stand in their truth, even when it looks bad. What frustrates viewers is watching someone constantly avoid responsibility while blaming everyone else around them. That pattern eventually becomes tiring. And the recap conversations touched heavily on that frustration. Because there is a growing belief that some people spent too much time focusing on controlling perception instead of simply being real. But reality television rarely rewards over-control for very long. Eventually, the audience notices when scenes feel forced. They notice when emotions feel rehearsed. They notice when people are more focused on protecting their image than sharing authentic experiences. And once viewers stop emotionally connecting, the entire energy changes. Another reason this conversation exploded online is because people are now looking at the show from a much bigger perspective. This is no longer just about personal drama between cast members. It is also about production decisions. Who is getting screen time? Who is carrying episodes? Who is creating moments that trend online? Those things matter more than people realize. Reality television is business before anything else. Producers follow engagement. They follow reactions. They follow storylines that keep viewers invested.